Hello everybody and welcome to the review vlog for Wolf Children. This was really quite a good movie. I really quite enjoyed it. Like honestly, I'm very positively surprised about basically everything, and I was expecting it to be far less structured than it eventually turned out to be, which I'm actually kind of okay with, like that the fact that it still was lacking a structure, but it had a pretty good structure. But overall, I really did enjoy it quite a bit, and it's probably gonna be a movie I'm gonna see a few more times eventually whenever I want to like chill out, because it was quite heartwarming and touching, to be honest. So, but let's get on with the actually mechanical facts, I suppose. So, well, facts. So first of all, let's talk about the animation, because it is kind of an interesting, not exactly a problem, but rather a feature of the movie. The animation is really good. Don't get me wrong. Like it is really darn good. But upon watching the or editing the video and just going through a lot of the scenes, um, there are a lot of moments where it becomes uncanny. Like they make it a bit too fluid, a bit too realistic, shall we say. And the animation goes from really good to kind of too good and starts becoming kind of odd looking and rather eerie. But that is only really rare, and I never noticed that during the movie itself, so it was only kind of the problem when you have to edit like 2 hours of video and you just kind of have to notice these kind of little quirks. But it still isn't like it is honestly really darn good animation. They have really fluid, it's really flowing, every movement looks really quite good, and oh my goodness, I don't know what it is, but that transformation, the fact that they made it seem so fluid and flow naturally into their movements like that, yet it didn't look that unnatural. It's really quite an accomplishment, I must say. So overall, the animation is really quite top notch. So yeah, that's good. Then the character designs is something that should be probably mentioned quite a few times. Um, the wolf, wolf human, wolfmen? No, I suppose that's what they're called. Their designs overall, in their wolf form, to be specific, was quite interesting the way that they really did look like wolf, except for a few minor details such as their eyes being far more human than actually wolves, and otherwise they looked quite a bit like wolves, to be honest, and it's a nice detail that they can be distinguished quite easily, yet they really do blend in quite well with the others, or the nature of them. I'm also quite impressed how they managed to make a lot of humans seem wildly different, with like surprisingly realistic human proportions as well. So yeah, they are at the very least very talented in creating characters who are easy to distinguish yet seem realistic and understandably like they are they do have very minor exaggerations, but they are really minor, like something like they are mostly noticed in their postures and such, and that's definitely not bad, and it doesn't like it's not even that much of an exaggeration, since some people do have those kinds of postures. And what I'm specifically referring to there is the old man and how well frail his posture seemed, which is yeah realistic, as I said, because some people do have that kind of posture. So, but otherwise there are like the character designs themselves and the animation is really quite good. Then sound design. As per usual, I'm no voice acting expert, but I do feel like the voice actors were quite good. I found few that I really quite enjoyed, and few that were perhaps less savory, but nothing that was extraordinarily bad. And though some of them got less time than others. That's to be expected. But I really did appreciate the voices, like especially the mother's voice, considering that she was kind of the main character. She had a really nice voice actor. Though to be honest, they really didn't. They spoke surprisingly a lot upon, like, again, editing. They spoke a lot when I remembered that it had so much silence to it. It's an interesting mental disjunction there. But yeah. And then the sound design on the music department. Holy crap! This is one of the most beautiful soundtracks in movies I've ever witnessed. Like, it has perhaps some of the best music ever, and that's no exaggeration. Like, it is absolutely beautiful and stunning. And since they have made it kind of like a silent movie, except not a movie where they really try to portray quite a lot of events without talking and dialogue, though they do still have to sometimes refer to dialogue. It is really quite crucial that the background music is absolutely beautiful, and it makes those scenes really, really quite good. Like, I really did enjoy the scenes where they did not talk and didn't, like, the most mundane scenes, seeing them live their days and just like listening to the most beautiful music ever, and just enjoying the scenes, because that seems to be the strongest suit of the movie. That it has scenes that you can just chill out and enjoy and watch and listen to, and it looks nice and it looks kind of heartwarming and cute and it sounds nice, and that honestly does seem to be the movie's strongest suit, and it's nice, and for that purpose, I really do like the movie. Like, I'm gonna probably watch it whenever I do want to chill, because it has that kind of mood to it. And sure, it does have its conflicts and that, but and with conflicts, I suppose we should probably talk about the story, which is, well, it's not like there's no story, but it is more. Kind of realistic in the manner that it really isn't about the it isn't really about the goal, since there is no end goal huge eventually. Like, sure, the movie did have a natural dropping off point, and that is true. It ended quite nice. Like, it had a really good stopping point, really quite natural, but it's not like that, but it's not about that kind of end goal or seeing where the story goes, but rather just witnessing the struggles of day-to-day life for a single mother taking care of two wolf children. That's, like, honestly, like, it is really quite well focused on the titular characters, the children, and how harsh it is to live with them. Yet I do really, really appreciate that they did not only make it about the hardships and make it seem grueling and impossible to come by, and we would just see the mother's struggles and such, because that would be honestly eventually kind of boring and pretentious and would maybe go overboard. But rather, they showed the most heartwarming moments, the more touching moments, the more somber moments when they were close and when the children were adorable, and like, it showed the good and the bad of raising children, and I really, really quite like that. That is really hard to portray without some needless dialogue. Yet they did it really, in my opinion, really, really quite well. Of course, would have to talk about characters, which are not bland, but kind of realistic and held back. I mean, the most exaggerated or the most uncommon character, I suppose, was the boy, and that's because of reasons. I'm not gonna spoil that in case you came here blind. So yeah. Otherwise, the characters were like really quite normal, like what humans are expected to be, which is quite surprising, all things considered. I mean, sure, the mother was portrayed, and honestly was, really quite determined and really, well, she went through a lot of troubles, I suppose. Um, yeah. But still, it's not like it was unrealistic to portray that many troubles and make her seem so determined to push through the troubles and just, well, survive with her children. It was something more admirable than anything, and it didn't, in my opinion, seem that pretentious even so, or at all pretentious. I mean, I know that mothers go through quite a lot of trouble, so that's kind of a realistic problem, I suppose. Also, they do really, on the character side of things, they did really portray quite a lot of the interesting dilemmas that came with the wolf children, and specifically the wolf part there. And that is quite a lovely little aspect to take into account, that it really causes problems, and I suppose that's one of the main conflicts of the movie, so that's good. What else would I say? I mean, I do have complaints about the movie, like it's not flawless. I mean, ultimately, it is kind of just a slice of life. I mean, it doesn't have any grander purpose to it. It's just enjoyable. It's not really deep. It doesn't have that huge of a plot. And the story isn't like the main focus of it because it's not so. It doesn't have the deepest plot. It doesn't have the most interesting characters. But it does have some of the most realistic characters and some of the most realistic stories that I've seen in movies, which is already quite an accomplishment. It's it is truly about the story about a mother growing up as a single mother, just taking care of two children, and for that it should be commended for having like portrayed it so well and made it still really quite entertaining, and yet being kind of unbiased as well. I mean, I do have problems with the pacing though, mostly in the second half where it feels like they didn't exactly know how to time certain events properly to make them flow into each other more naturally. But those are just some rather minor complaints, and ultimately it didn't take me out of the movie, so that's not really a complaint that much. Ultimately, ultimately, I have said that like 3 times now. I really did enjoy the movie. Like it is really, really good, really good, really good, really good. I don't know how else to say it. It's just absolutely wonderful, and I enjoyed my way with it. I enjoyed that movie like thoroughly. It was really, really darn good. Yeah, I suppose that's it. Like, I would give this a hearty recommendation to everybody who's not adverse to, um, well, anyone who does not, anyone who would like to see some lovely slice of life and is, I mean, I don't know if the transformation aspect of the children would take anyone away from the movie. I mean, that would, uh, I don't know. I suppose some people would be turned off by that, but like I suppose majority should not be turned away by that. I mean, if you're looking for a thrilling story or any kind of real action or really huge conflicts or anything more, yeah, this isn't really that for that purpose because that's that's what it tries to be. It knows what it tries to be, and for those who are looking for this kind of material, just like enjoyable slice of life, or who, I don't know, want to see some adorable characters and just some really heartwarming scenes, those for them this movie is really, really top notch. So I would really kind of recommend this to the majority of people, with of course a slight warning that it doesn't really revolve that much around plot, other than the central conflict of raising two children. Yeah. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you in the future. Have a great day and stay awesome. Ganmu out. Thanks for watching.